Okay, we're going to be talking about takeoffs. Now, you should be comfortable taxiing around and comfortable with orientation on the simulator in order to take off. Now, the simulator I find doesn't simulate takeoffs very well. In the simulator, you're probably just going to peg the throttle and the airplane will just kind of naturally take off on its own. When you go to take off a real airplane, a real model airplane, I should say, you're going to find a couple of things you need to think of. Number one is if there's a crosswind, you're always going to want to kind of bank the wing into the wing with your aileron. So if there was a wind coming from in my face as I'm looking at the model, you're going to want to give a slight bit of right aileron, and that's going to keep the wing from flipping over as you accelerate down the runway. You don't want to give too much though, so that as soon as the airplane takes off, it immediately wants to roll out on you and could cause a crash. The second thing you're going to want to think of is the torque of the motor when you punch it generally makes the airplane want to turn left, like I just demonstrated there. In the simulator, it doesn't really show this very well, but generally the airplane wants to veer off like that. What you should be expecting of your airplane when you first go to throttle up is you're going to need to give a little bit of right rudder. So as you throttle up, the airplane's going to want to veer like this towards you from this direction. You want to give a little bit of right rudder to keep it flying straight. So that's something to think about as well. So the two things is if there's a crosswind, you just want a little bit of aileron into the wind. This is mostly with trainers. As you get into the bigger stuff, it's not really an issue. And you're always going to want to give a little bit of right rudder as you take off, just to keep the airplane flying straight. Now, in the simulator, like I said, you pretty much are just going to pin the throttle, but remember in real life to give a little bit of right rudder, keep that flying straight. And then always make sure that your first turn is away from yourself. That's in most model airplane safety codes is the turn's going to be away from yourself. The last thing I will recommend is when you're taking off, some people they start wiggling back and forth and they try to save the airplane and they're dragging wingtips on the ground and their airplane's bouncing all over the place. Try to avoid that. If you find that when you're taking off, if you start getting wobbly, cut the throttle and let the airplane slow down, stop, recollect, and then you'll find that it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to start an airplane smooth than it is to try to save one that's wobbling and get it back into smooth, straight path down the runway. So to recap, just make sure you're prepared for a little right rudder. When you take off, always be aware of that crosswind. You may need to bank your wings a little bit into it. And if you get into trouble, back off. Use lots of your runway space. Most fields have tons of runway room, so you've got lots of room to move around, and make sure that you use all of it. If you get into trouble, back off that throttle, taxi around if you need to, and try it again.